It's time! Calamity Death Mode Legendary Zenith Seed Godseeker. It's time to end this clown fiesta. So... Calamity Crafting. And now that that's done, let's clean up some of the pre-Moonlord bosses. Brimstone Elemental, easy. Plague Goliath has prepared a special clown egg for us. He places honey wherever he goes, so your arena will slowly turn into a circus stage of flying loops that are neither flaming nor loops. Now, Fishron continues the special act of the space fish and the sea. And now we are just blatantly chatting. I have not the time or interest to find out how to or where to summon these bosses that are such clowns I can beat them without even seeing them. I still do not know how some of these boss fights look, but I have beaten them. Astromoreos will be the last opening act of the show. This will be a surprise too. That will not really be helpful later. Before we now go over to Calamity, one last intermission before these three clowns around the Omega Core become too easy. I would say there's nothing to gain from Saurion's last boss, but I may have to use one of the ultimate Saurion weapons. The joke will be that it is for you to figure out which one, as it will be a while before I come around to it. As to the bosses themselves, these feel like pre-hard mode Calamity bosses. They move slow, fire a few projectiles, and that's all there is to it. Blue has horizontal grid attacks, while green has vertical, indicated by some non-damaging sparks before the attack happens. But Perforator Hive had both. At the same time in pre-hard mode already. I am really thankful for adrenaline in this fight, as it massively speeds it up. The second phase you would call all three at the same time, but then in reality it's just switching between the AIs quicker, but not overlapping them. In pure Saurion this fight may be a little bit harder, but in reality is it just longer, because you have weaker weapons and no adrenaline. And of course we couldn't end this without having one final time Her Majesty Eternal since the beginning of time to give us one final fun round of tag. There might even later on be another bouncy boulder fun incident, but I won't mention when it happens, so will you be able to spot it? Now that we have done that, it's time to talk about Godseeker. And well, it is mostly just a boss rush. Fight enemy, get better stuff from the drops, fight next boss. But before that, let's do this. As first step, I was struggling to get Mothron to spawn from solar eclipses, but it seems that the Zenith Seed is inhabited by some clowns that exclusively spawn in the underworld instead of not spawning there. And while we are at it, are here the post-Moonlord clowns we actually need for the boss summon. And now, let's go over to the boss rush of Godseeker. Wait, hold up, why do I hear boss music playing? Well, that was a strange thing to happen, but we have now reached Dumb, Dumber and Dumbest, my favorite 3-minute long boss fight. This surely would be the extent of how long you expect these boss fights to be now. And well, there really isn't much to say to most of these bosses, at least not in this video. In my sum up video I will have a lot to say, but as you can see there isn't anything to comment on. I was heavily debating if I want to speed up these fights or not. And you can see what my conclusion is in the end here. The thing is that in Godseeker all you do is beat bosses. It's also not like there are any strategies I can give you. All this is just take less damage than you have HP. There is a lot to be said to this fight, but those things are general things that I don't want to put here. Oh, would you look at that? We get the boss summon item for the next boss from this. So let's go on to the next boss fight that clearly won't take 10 minutes to beat with how small Providence has become from death mode. And her signature move is of course, well, I mean it is clearly whatever the hell this is supposed to be. I sure love a boss pooping out a screen worth of projectiles while moving twice as fast as you ever could, left and right, trying to hover close on top of you, while also occasionally shooting out laser beams that want you to stay in front of the boss, which is clearly doable when the boss moves like that. There was an idea of removing all my deaths, or simply putting them at the end for one collage of constant deaths, but I decided to keep them in their rightful place. Just seeing the deaths isn't all that entertaining for long, but cutting them felt just wrong to do, as that is the main part of this experience. Constant death. Let's now go over to the 4-part act that is the Devourer of Comedy. He does like himself some prime comedy, so he has trained his envoys to deliver, and deliver they shall. The curtains will open by Signius' hand. At twice the speed you can move, but of course does he take his breath afterwards, every time. And if I wasn't so stubborn, I could have hollowed out a big chunk of hell to make this fight far more easy. His projectiles are hardly an issue, and his charging can't keep up with you when you have enough space to run away. And if you're wondering, that's not you or me. The death mode trick Signius has up its sleeve is to turn the screen dark, so it is harder to see what is happening. Truly the pinnacle of creating difficulty in boss fights. The next in line shall be Stormweaver with his light show, and he does know how to make a good light show. And well, what have I to say to this fight other than adrenaline sure is something, isn't it? And where there's one worm, many are soon to follow. So this program will have a quick intermission from space. If you wanted to know what happened to your pet eater of worlds that you accidentally flushed down the toilet of the space station, this is what happens to him. I have to say, I remember this fight to be completely different from this, but that is knowledge from ages ago, when the daytime Empress of Light mode was still a part of Calamity. Mining, let's go mining. Oh wait, did I even use Astral Bars? Was probably part for one single accessory upgrade chain that needed me to beat 2 bosses just to get like 5 Astral Bars. Returning from our intermissions is Ceaseless Void, here to greet us. This show is quite special and has me want to say many things. But these things are also things I would like to keep for the final video that will come out after this one, that will tell us a tale of my Swords of Calamity in general. And boy, do I have to say things about this clown. And yes, that does mean, once again, it's it just boss fight. There isn't much to say for Godseeker, it really is just boss fight. Then fight some more boss to get rewarded with more boss. Terraria is one of the RPGs of all time, I would have to say. That for certain doesn't fuck around with mandatory side quests that take longer than the main campaign. The final act has arrived, and it starts with a bang, or rather should I say a... Get it? Because there's no sound in space. So it seems that you will be made a clown for attempting to jump in the Devourer of Gods fight. You will uncontrollably rocket to Andromeda, when there is no ceiling above you. That only happens on the first upwards movement of the fight, however. But we are not the only clowns here, as the Devourer has gone through some really strict weight loss program. This indeed made it so that I for once needed to use map strats to see where he is. And well, what do I have to say to this fight but adrenaline sure is something. For once can we now do something that is only 50% a boss fight, as the Halloween and Christmas events have new drops for new crafting weapons together. So if you want to see 30 times spawn rate moon events being destroyed by a giant flame tornado, here you go. And look, we even get a cool new fancy sword from this that is only slightly clownish. I have to be real, I did not think I would switch to magic, but I guess the magic weapons are just slightly less clownish than the melee weapons, and due to various other reasons does it just seem to be the best choice. I can tell you right now why Bumblebird makes this upgrade from the Razorblade Typhoon look like a good weapon. That is solely due to how little boss there is to Bumblebird. His main trick is to be too fast to physically be able to respond to, with how the Terrarian controls, but he is nothing more than a clown bird's feather. And if you missed me dying to problems, you're welcome. Let's swap over to Planterra 2 Electric Boogaloo, now with extra spirits, and Planterra 2 from the Terraria Calamity series. While I am now going through the abyss to get post-poltergeist stuff, let's talk about a question I started to have about it. What makes the abyss the abyss? Is it like the ocean and hell placement, or is it because of the blocks in it? This question I will answer in my fourth video, as I will go through and completely mine out the entire abyss to see what happens. As if it is based on placement, that would mean with the water refilling gimmick the abyss has, will there constantly be a massive flood coming out of it, slowly flooding the entire world. It is now time to return to melee for Yarion, with a weapon I will for once not make fun of. These things doesn't happen every day. And Yarion indeed has more than one clown egg prepared for it. He not only spawns giant suns right inside you that do 600 damage and chase you at almost max speed you would have for this fight, but he also refills his HP when he hits half, and he spawns Bumblebird during the fight, as no clown act is truly fulfilled with only one clown. It is now time for the most comedy of ores imaginable, as Auric Tesla ore has at some point gotten the gimmick of Bounty Castle. Funniest shit I've ever seen, I'm telling you. And it also spawns in abundance, so we will quickly have enough for all our Auric needs. While this is happening, I can also address that I have figured out we need to beat both final bosses to spawn the Lord. So I chatted to get the Dreadon summon things, as I will not wait for 9,000 power cells to be made, as the clown that made Calamity thought that over 9,000 meme should become reality for this. With that is a time for the one boss I will not clown on. Supreme Calamitas is the one boss where I say it is probably mandatory to get a flying mount, and that can basically be really just any. All you need it for is that you can stationary float mid-air, and the Rod of Discord too is mandatory for this fight. For that I have to say that, by the way, using the normality relocator will make a clown of you. No matter what I tried, it seems that Jared will always spawn when you use the normality relocator. And top of that is the Chaos debuff it inherited from the Rod of Discord, making it anyways problematic, you could say. For the bullet hell phase of Supreme Calam, will you need to teleport between the open pockets, as there will not be enough space to move between bullets. As I will ultimately use magic, will this not matter. But when I saw that ZENITH had a tenth of the damage of Calamity weapons while needing Auric Tesla, I thought that it's just another clown choice. But when I used it I realized that it was by a lot stronger than Calamity alternatives. So please, free logic, give me some ZENITH gun and ZENITH tome. They would be so much better than what Calamity can come up with. The biggest reason why I didn't go melee was these orbs that protect the Pulsra, being too small to hit decently with ZENITH. After that was it now simply time for me to get used to this fight. Once I picked up on it did I get to the only really problematic phase most of the time. Before that, the brothers. And they really are just as easy as standing in place and attacking. One will hover above while the other will hover below, while taking the right and the left of you. That means the only time they can really hit you is when they swap from top to bottom and in reverse. The biggest problem phase of this is when the moons come and curiously do not spawn inside you, like some other boss does, but instead at decent distance that you can respond to them now chasing you for the rest of the fight. And the only real issue they pose is during the volatile phase. And for this I have to mention the one thing that got me killed more than anything probably. On the ZENITH siege does the barrier Supreme Calam spawn get turned to Swiss cheese, so you can easily get stuck in it and just die. That was especially the case when you had to run at decent speeds away while also making precise movements and occasionally having to spot and move your mouse to and teleport to open spaces during the volatile phase. The next, the Pulsar phase, is tough but doable, and those birds that spawn around Supreme Cal, by the way, don't have a hitbox, so when they charge at you, just pretend they aren't there. And for Radon, well, this fight is just let the clown music start playing. With space gravity for a boss you really need to fight above ground, as there are just too many things that are a bad joke. Skeleton Prime's copycat for the first phase is not a problem, but after that you sometimes need to dodge the dash from the left twin with a time smaller than you can change where you're moving. The biggest worm sometimes decides he can fly and so randomly turns from falling down, making a 180-degree turn to straight into you. Let's not get discouraged at the end and go over the one true actual clown of this. The Lord is interesting. At first I thought that no U debuff was constant, but it only appears when you get hit by any source. And then for 30 seconds you need to survive random vanilla AI without any of your movement tools. Another interesting thing is that the official Calamity wiki straight up lies to you. When I got hit on one time I just, because I had no other choice, used the Rod of Harmony to stay alive. And it does not inflict no U on you for 1 hour when used. And evading vanilla AI for 30 seconds with the Rod of Harmony is not a hard thing to do. Once you reach the disco ball mode, you have to survive for 100 seconds. And I don't know what AI it is, but he can during that time choose to charge at you in a way you cannot dodge him and the lasers, get to know you and die. Not frequently, but it can happen. Sadly, he no longer drops the invincibility item at the end, and instead just drops the life pack. But hey, this fight is honestly super easy, and just a fun thing to end Calamity. We will not talk about boss rush. Boss rush is awful. I will not do boss rush. So, it's over. Well, not quite. I will have to do a fourth video, as there are so many things to say to this. So you really should watch that. But this is now my final death count, whatever may be written here right now. This is the final time it took me. So I have to admit, I chatted to get the boring grinding things like potions. I estimate that would add about 5 hours to this, to be generous. What's next? Infernum on ZENITH? That seems to be the new hot mode. Just no. Unless there's some terrarium YouTuber willing to do co-op, will I not even consider doing this. The actual explanation why will be in the 4th video, but let's just say it takes too long. With multiplayer, this of course gets trivially easy, and if you want me to prove that, or eat my words, convince someone to do multiplayer Infernum ZENITH Legendary, and I'll do it.